Welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. It's Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Both Bayern and Chelsea played some matches last weekend, and they got some this weekend, so we got a lot to discuss, as always.
Yeah, the season's beginning. It's very exciting. Both matches this weekend were awesome, and can't wait to discuss more.
Yeah, I agree. Both matches this weekend were good for different reasons, and great. Outstanding, incredible, excellent for Chelsea. For Bayern, got the win, but maybe a couple concerns.
Vincent Kompany's first match in the Bundesliga, though. Any win is a great win.
That's fair. And they certainly showed some character in that one, too. So should we jump right in and start talking about Bayern?
Yeah, I'm going to jump right in and say Vincent Kompany on the sideline looks match ready. I tell you what, he looks like a complete stud out there, and I want him getting some time with the soccer ball at his feet.
Well, to be honest, after the performance of our center backs, Kompany might be our best center back right now. I hate to go into that right away, but yeah, that was the biggest downside of the match for Bayern, definitely. But like you said, Bayern Munich beat Wolfsburg this Sunday 3-2 in their first Bundesliga match.
Yeah, the result's all that matters ultimately. Kompany will be happy with that. You can only build on it from there. With a start like that, when you get a nice win, and then if you still are saying there's a lot to build from, it can only go up from there. So that's certainly a good thing for Vincent and his crew.
I love how those announcers say Vincent, and maybe they're right. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but Vincent is how you'll hear it on the broadcast.
Yeah, typical difference between an American pronunciation and the original pronunciation. So I wouldn't say either of us are at fault there.
Well, here we go. Let's just start off. I'll just read through the lineup that Bayern Munich, I guess Vincent Kompany chose to run with in this first Bundesliga matchup. No surprise, we had Neuer between the sticks. At left back, we had Davies, and then the center back combination was Upa and Kim. Sacha Boey on the right back, getting a start there as Stanisic is hurt and he'll be out for a bit. The midfield combination that Kompany went with was Pavlovic and Kimmich. And then the attackers were Olise, Musiala, Gnabry, and Kane up top. Not a bad lineup to start with, I would say. There's many folks that would have wanted Thomas Muller to start, and with his recent form, you really can't blame him. But overall, I think that was an all right lineup to go with.
Yeah, and they certainly started the game well with that lineup. The only question I would have had coming into it, and you follow more closely than I, but no Palhinha? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that it could just be because Palhinha was kind of making his way back into the squad. And overall, I think the midfield will consist of Pavlovic, Kimmich, and Palhinha for the most part. I think it's going to be a three-man rotation. That might depend on the opponent that Bayern's playing. However, I would, going forward, just because of how shaky our defense was, I think you have to start Palhinha now. Put somebody in there who's going to hopefully save our center backs from some more mistakes.
Yeah, that's certainly an option that Kompany will have going forward. I did think the midfield at the start of the match was pretty dominant for the most part. We mentioned right before coming on the air here, but Bayern started well, and I liked what I saw from Kimmich in the midfield. I'm used to seeing him in the right back role. I understand he was in the midfield kind of before Tuchel put him at right back, but he looked great, I thought, for, I would say, the majority of the match in that midfield.
Yeah, I would say overall, I didn't really have a problem with the midfield, Pavlovic and Kimmich. I think they kind of did what they could. They didn't have maybe the games of their lives, but they didn't make any big mistakes or do anything horrible. They kind of, kept the ball advancing. And Pavlovic actually had a beautiful pass that kind of led to Bayern's game-winning goal. But before we get to that, I would agree with you. Bayern pretty much dominated in the first half. They looked great, dominated possession. Their press seemed like it was working. Sacha Boey, I thought, looked great on the right-hand side, kind of linking up and interchanging with Olise. That was a bright point there in the first half. And it kind of accumulated when Bayern scored that first goal in the 19th minute. Boué kind of made a run up the right-hand side and, beat a defender and made a great pass to tee up Musiala just for an easy tap-in.
Yeah, awesome to see Moose get on the score sheet early on in the year, first Bundesliga match. I mentioned in a prior pod about how I'd love to see him carry his momentum from his great Euro play into the start of the Bundesliga year, so that was great. And my first time ever seeing Boué play, and I wrote down he's a star because I had never seen him play, and he instantly starts off great. Now he ended up tailing off after that, but for a first reaction for me, he certainly surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, he was, like I said, linking up with Olise on that right-hand side, kind of interchanging with him, and definitely providing a ton of service to the attack, whereas on the left-hand side, you had Alphonso Davies, who, unfortunately, again, similar to last season, looked pretty uninterested, looked like he wasn't, all the way there, and he wasn't providing Gnabry with nearly as much service as you saw on the right-hand side, which is unfortunate. And I would say overall, Boué was the least bad of our defenders. But, to his credit, had a great first half, and really the whole team was clicking in the first half. But like you said, right after halftime, things kind of fell apart fast.
Yeah, quick other note on that first half before the fall apart. I will say, you mentioned Elise, I think it's going to be important that he does connect with whoever plays right back, if it's Boué consistently or what's his name, Stanisic. Yeah. Whoever it is, because Elise, I'm going to keep mentioning that I think he could be Bayern's best player this year. He already looks so smooth, and he's just still getting acclimated. I think this league is literally so perfect for his game. He's trying to find Kane with little runs. The way he puts a through ball into play is just brilliant. So, going to be something to watch going forward. But yeah, I was definitely disappointed with how Bayern started that second half. I literally wrote down, what are Bayern doing to start the second half? Vincent? ?
Yeah, I mean, the mistakes that they made in the second half were all their fault. Right away when things started in the second half, Boué gave up a penalty there to make it 1-1. And we were kind of talking about this during the match, but, it was a fair call. It was a kind of a weak bit of contact there, and if the ref was consistent throughout the match, it wouldn't have been a pen because Kane and Musiala were kind of consistently getting brought down like that in Bayern's box. But, like I said, it was enough contact to be a pen, and it was in, that kind of danger zone. So either way, I guess I'll call it a deserved pen, and it's 1-1 right there. Right, that was maybe, 10 seconds, 20 seconds into the second half?
Yeah, and it was frustrating because I was giving all this praise to Boué in my mind, and then he goes and does that. And it also coincided with the rest of the team just not looking up to the energy level that they needed to be, and certainly the energy level that they had in the first half. Even Elise, you could tell, was kind of slowing down already to start the second half, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that's on Kompany, if that's on the players, their leaders, but nonetheless, that's kind of how the half started.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. It was certainly an immature penalty from Boué. Hopefully, as he gets more match time here, he'll start to grow a little bit and mature. But he was hurt for most of the season last season. Kind of a panic buy in the winter transfer window, as that right back position was thinning for Bayern, and he hardly played. He played one. I think he only played one full match, and it was against Leverkusen, where Tuchel played him at left back, and he looked horrible in that, out of position. But yeah, I'm overall excited for him this year. But like you said, really just the energy level on the team in that second half went way down. Tons of individual mistakes. I'm looking at Kim. I'm looking at Upamecano. Even Davies, but for the most part, the mistakes were on Kim and Upa. They were consistently making passes to Wolfsburg in the box, just teeing them up to score. And they looked like they were just out of position consistently. Guys were getting past them. Something was wrong. These mistakes that we saw them make last year, and basically the mistakes that took them out of the games and gave De Ligt and Dyer the keys to that center back pairing last season are the same mistakes we're seeing now from Upa and Kim. So hopefully they kind of learn to, maybe play some long balls and just become a little bit steadier back there.
Yeah, that Kim mistake that leads to the Wolfsburg second goal, really a simple finish by the Wolfsburg scorer there. Nothing Neuer can do to stop it. You hate to see mistakes like that. It's so frustrating as a fan watching that happen because they're obviously not trying to make this mistake, but at the same time, it's such simple things, almost a lack of focus for the reason that it happens. And that sucks if you're the other players on the team, too. If you're the attackers looking back at it and it happens, there's nothing you can do. It's got to be maddening.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like I'm totally ripping on these guys because I do believe that they're good players. I don't think their styles complement each other, and I'm double frustrated because I watched Upa in the Euros for France play great, play completely steady. But then when he's on Bayern here, it's like he's making mistakes in these big moments. And it's triple frustrating, as I'll continue to iterate most likely throughout the season, that we sold De Ligt, who was our center back, who was the rock, who would come in and be a leader and communicate, when our backs were against the wall, when his back was against the wall, being counted out by Tuchel and really the board in general, kind of just sucking it up and going in there and being that solid defender, whereas Upa and Kim, make these mistakes and seem like they might not be ready for a club like Bayern at times.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, the decisions that they've made for the center backs they have. It is what it is at this point. There's still a few days left in the transfer window. They could do something to fix it. I will say it's early in the season, so these things can get fixed internally as well. So I wouldn't be too over-the-top concerned. I don't think either of us really are thinking it's going to be a disaster at this point. Things can get better from here, I'd say.
I agree, and Bayern does have some options. Unfortunately, those options are hurt right now. But Stanisic and Ito can both kind of slide into a center-back role if they have to. And honestly, Stanisic will most likely be occupying the space on the back line, I guess more solidly than Boué does. But Boué kind of offers that offensive kind of, trade-off there. So there's that. There's rumors now that performance by those two was so bad that Bayern's now back in the market for Jonathan Tah. So maybe they'll be able to sell off Coman or something before the deadline here and they'll get Jonathan Tah. But we haven't even talked about this because he's fallen so far in the depth chart for no reason. But you still have Eric Dyer. He came on at the end there and the team looked steadier than ever in the defensive portion.
I was about to get out my recycling bin and ask if Bayern are in dire need of a center back. And, of course, Eric Dyer is the man that I would look for.
Yeah. So, I guess the other thing to mention about that, I think Dyer and Upa would make a really good combination, just their styles of play kind of counterbalancing each other. I think Kim still has to figure out a few things. I think he still has the potential he showed at Napoli. But yeah, it is a little concerning with this style of play where the back line is so far up and then a mistake can be made at any moment. Who knows what's going to happen with Bayern in the future, but I think that's all we need to say about those center back mistakes because this team did show grit and character and determination, and they turned things around. And honestly, I don't know if that would have happened last season. I saw plenty of matches where they dug themselves in a hole last season and did not dig themselves out of it. So it was good to see things start to turn around the 60th minute or so.
Actually, I noted this immediately after that goal they gave up. they were on the attack, and I was really impressed by that. Immediately after, Musiala actually had a shot off the post that almost went in, so I could tell right away whether it was guys telling each other, hey, we need to pick it back up, but the energy level was noticeably higher after they gave up that second goal.
And that's the important thing to mention there, too, because truth be told, last season, what would have happened in this scenario is they would have most likely gone into a shell, and that was kind of at the behest of, is that even a word? I don't know, of Thomas Tuchel. They would have kind of maybe made some defensive subs in that scenario and gone into a shell, like I said, at that point of the match, and things would have been over. But instead, lo and behold, I'll give Kompany some points here because he decides to bring in Thomas Muller, and instantly things change.
Instantly, Muller gets a goal. Oh, wait, he actually didn't, but I thought he did. So if you saw that tweet by me, pretend you didn't see it. Even so, the fact that he came on and instantly things were happening was awesome to see.
And quite honestly, you might as well give that goal to Kane or Muller. So Muller comes on in around the 65th minute. We got a corner kick there. And the corner kick comes in. Kane shoots it, deflected off of a Wolfsburg player. Don't remember which Wolfsburg player, whatever, somebody there. And the ball crosses the goal line at that point, but it's so close to the line, and either way, Muller's there to tap it in and finish things off anyways. So, like you said, like I said, Muller comes on, and instantly things level out. And then, to get some icing on the cake, Muller pulls a piece of paper from his pants.
A what from his pants?
He pulls a piece of paper from his pants and huddles the entire team around and says, look, this is what we got to do. This is what Kompany's telling us, Muller, let's hope things work out with Kompany, of course. But if they don't, just sign him up as head coach already.
And credit to Kimmich after the match for saying that he had no desire to touch that piece of paper.
Yeah, he said, did you see where that came from?
That was awesome.
Yeah, so after that happens, pretty shortly thereafter, I guess I don't have the 82nd minute. I couldn't remember about that one, but after that own goal levels things off in the 82nd minute, we have this beautiful sequence of events where I think it's Pavlovic finding Muller for a long ball, Muller finding Kane for another beautiful ball. Kane turns around, slots it to Gnabry in stride, and Gnabry puts it home. Great shot right around the keeper, right in the side of the netting. And things are 3-2.
A couple things I want to note with that goal. Beautiful team goal. A great goal that you'll see probably played throughout the year because of the connection and the build-up of that goal. First thing I'll note, Gnabry now on the right wing at this point in the game. So that little switch, Elise, I believe, was out at this point. Probably tired, wasn't doing much in the second half. That was awesome to see Gnabry kind of fill that void. The second thing I'll note, Thomas Muller, brilliant on this goal. When he gets the ball, he passes a defender, and he's being held so heavily, and it's going to be a foul. The ref plays advantage, and Muller takes advantage because he had gotten past the defender, doesn't fall down, gets the ball to Kane, and that still results in the goal. So I thought that was a huge play by Muller to stay in the play in that moment.
Totally agree. That's the type of thing that Muller provides that, like I consistently say, if you don't watch the matches, you don't really see it. If you follow along on SofaScore or whatever, you don't see these kinds of things. But just the vision on that goal from Pavlovic, from Muller, from Kane, these are guys who are getting, like you said, brought down, or Kane was his back was completely turned to the side and he had to turn around with one touch or maybe two and just found Gnabry, like I said, in stride. And yeah, great team goal, as you said. Just the fight that the team had to come back like that, it was beautiful. And that's kind of how things ended, Nobody else scored after that, and Bayern looked good towards the end. They looked like they were back in control, and they escaped Wolfsburg match week 1 with all 3 points.
Yeah, at the end of that match, both teams I thought actually could have each put one more on. Just before that third goal, Kane had a really good chance. I thought he should have made it, but a defender made a hell of a stop actually to keep him out.
Yep.
And I think late, Wolfsburg had one chance that they ended up being offside. I forget if it ended up going in or not, but Bayern was able to, like you said, escape, even though the defense, if I could talk, wasn't amazing on the day. So always a good thing there.
Overall, solid from Kompany. His subs were really good. He showed that he reacted in real time very well, I thought. So solid marks for him. And I guess speaking of marks, we can give out some match awards here.
Yeah, so we're still kind of shaking things up here at the ABC household, if you will.
Headquarters.
We're now going to go with, we'll start with two, and we'll each give our Batman and Robin of the match.
All right, well, I have a little bit of a shake-up for this Batman award because just to get this out of the way, I'm not giving anybody a defensive man of the match award for this one because they were all bad at defense. But to make up for that, I'm going to award two Batmen. So, two players who had similar games, I thought. They both scored a goal, and they both created a great amount of chances for Bayern. Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry, they're my Batmen of the match.
Makes sense. My Batman is Gnabry. I thought I put him just a little bit higher than a Musiala or even a Kane, who I thought played well, just because he scored that last final goal. My Robin is Musiala, kind of for the same reasons.
My Robin of the match was Kane, and kind of like we talked about, Kane really created a lot of chances for the team. He even had a shot right in the very beginning of the match before anybody scored. That was about 100 miles per hour off the goalkeeper's head, and I don't know how the goalkeeper survived that one, to be honest. He was wearing a mask, so maybe that soaked up some of the force from that shot, but he was down for a while, and I thought, this guy's concussed. The backup keeper was getting ready to come on, but yeah, Kane had that great assist at the end there to Gnabry, almost had that own goal situation, and had a couple of more chances and even created a couple more chances.
Yeah, you might not have a best defender. You'll disagree with my opinion here. I did actually list Upamecano. I know he had a couple mistakes that he normally has. I thought overall, outside of those mistakes, he was the best defender of the four, just because he didn't directly give up a pen like Bouye, a direct mistake leading to a goal like Kim. Davies, I didn't even list anything about. He's so irrelevant in that match. I saw promise from Upamecano. I think he progresses the ball well, and I think because of that, those risks, that's maybe why he makes some mistakes. So if he can just cut down those mistakes, I see some promise.
I feel like that's what I've been saying about Upamecano forever. If he can just cut down on those mistakes, things will be great. And then I guess the final award of the match, we can go with underrated or fireball. I don't know which one you chose, but the person would be the same for me.
For me, I said Kimmich.
Okay.
I was looking at it as somebody who brought a lot of energy, and, we texted about when he kind of was yelling at a Wolfsburg player for being on the ground, and he's just a guy that I think brings energy and leadership to the team, and I saw that a lot on Sunday.
Yeah, that is Joshua Kimmich to a T, day in and day out, intensity. I mean, if you ever see this man on the pitch, really doing anything competitive, he is a fiery force to be reckoned with. But I gave this award to Thomas Muller. Coming in, like I said, I think he made the difference in the match, really turned things around, and just taking that note out of his pants was a really special moment for me.
Yeah, and I maybe didn't mention this one to you in our communications, but I like to think of what I believe maybe a pivotal moment in the match is, and for me that was Muller coming on. So I'm glad you picked him as your underrated player, because to me that's when the match changed, when he came on. Whether it was the piece of paper from the pants or his actual play, we won't know for sure. But it was the pivotal moment.
Yeah, I do agree with that for the pivotal moment of the match. Yeah, so Bayern takes on Freiburg. on Sunday, which is September 1st. And Freiburg looked great in their Bundesliga opener. They demolished Stuttgart, who, reminder, finished second in the Bundesliga last year, above Bayern, 3-1. And I think Freiburg is going to be a top 10 Bundesliga side this year, maybe even approaching top 5. I don't really have a whole lot to say to preview that other than I'm looking forward to it. I'm assuming Kompany will roll out a relatively similar lineup. He might throw Polina in there. I wouldn't be surprised about that. I don't think Sane is going to be fit in time for the match, so he probably won't play. Maybe Muller will start, although I think he's going to probably stick with Always, Musiala, and Gnabry. You could maybe see Tell start. You could maybe see Guerrero start, but I think overall it's going to be a similar look.
Yeah, my few things to watch. Can Bayern offensively continue to build the momentum? Is their defense going to look better, especially at home? I would imagine that they would. They'll probably want to get a clean sheet in that first home match. And finally, will Polina get the start, or will he just play at all? My guess would be yes, but tune into that match, I guess, and find out.
Yeah, check out the Twitter for that one. Always Bay Che. And I guess, speaking of Che, why don't we talk about Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea had a heck of a match on Sunday. Played around the same time Bayern did a half hour earlier. And it was one of the more electric matches you'll find in the Premier League. A back-and-forth, super open match in the first half. Dominating performance in the second half by Chelsea against Wolves. And they end up winning 6-2. It was awesome. I loved every second of it. It was just a great Sunday for me as a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, it was kind of funny from my side of things because I was able to kind of catch some of that very beginning of the match before Bayern started, and I was very unsure about how things were going to go at that point. I was like, oh, is Chelsea going to, I don't know, concede or kind of go down or, maybe not be able to pull this one out? As I remember last year, the match against Wolves wasn't so great, at least in the second half of the season. But yeah, things definitely took off like a rocket after I stopped watching that one and flipped on Bayern.
Yeah, so if we set the scene here, Chelsea comes in, they're in Wolverhampton. There may have been an Instagram post about whether Wolverhampton was a good city or not. It may or may not have been Noni Madueke that said those things. A hilarious moment. And Chelsea come in, pretty basic lineup compared to what they've been doing in the preseason and a couple of the matches they've had. One difference being Lavia not in with a small hamstring injury. Sounds like it won't be a concern going forward, but Mudryk was on the left wing. I was a little surprised by that. And then Palmer was in the part of the 3 midfield instead of being right wing because Noni slotted in on the right wing, which ends up being an amazing decision by Maresca. And a lot of that is because Palmer in that midfield really gives your attack such a boost. So that was a key part of the lineup that I think was huge.
Yeah, I really liked this lineup from Chelsea. It just seemed like it worked. And I wasn't even sure why at first. But when I read the lineup, the lineup that they post online, I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. I think that'll work together pretty well, at least on the attack.
Yeah, Noni and Cole have shown that they play together well. As Noni said, they're cold and fire. They mix well, apparently. They have experience playing together in the U21 England side, so they've certainly seen each other a lot in their past. I think this match started off very interesting because Chelsea score within a minute and a half off a set piece, off a corner, where a ball gets headed by a Wolves defender and Jackson's there at the far post, puts it in brilliantly. So we come off firing. Chelsea looked so good the first 10 to 15 minutes-ish. Jackson, awesome to see him score that early in the year. Noni was creating all these chances at the right wing. Guys getting booed. I mean, the crowd is so loud. They're hating him for what he said about their town. He hasn't put one away yet, but they're building, and it looks awesome. And then, in typical Chelsea form to the last couple of years, the midfield kind of just gets torn apart, and Wolves equalize, which was so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, the energy from Chelsea in the beginning, like you said, I thought was great, and I thought you could see it with Jackson's celebration too, just the way he went sliding up to the crowd, pumping his fists and yelling. But like I mentioned, what kind of Chelsea do you see after that? And you mentioned the concession, and then it's like, is this going to be a back and forth match? Still at this point, a young team, a new coach. What's going to happen? And I think what happened hopefully says a lot about where this team can take things.
Yeah, the second 20, I would say, was just dreadful from Chelsea. The midfield was letting Wolves do whatever they wanted, just not clean at all. I thought Palmer was headed toward another abysmal performance. I maybe touched on this in my Servette mini episode. Check that out on YouTube. But I didn't think he had started the year well at all. Maybe just coming back from vacation and all those things. He just didn't look great, and he was part of that, why Wolves were kind of tearing it up. But then randomly you get this brilliant ball from Robert Sanchez out to Nico Jackson, launches it from a goal kick. He flicks it beautifully to Palmer, and Palmer does what he does best, catches Jose Sa out of position slightly. And people were saying that was kind of an easy goal, terrible goalkeeping. No, that's a tough goal. To chip that over in the run of play like that was brilliant.
Yeah, and I would agree with you because there's also tons of defenders there, and it's hard to, as a keeper, it's hard to, I feel like, judge where things are going and even see shots sometimes when you have defenders in front of you. But yeah, as you mentioned, Palmer looked a little lethargic in the beginning and or at least off his game where he wasn't putting things away like you would expect him to. And then I think that kind of changed everything, and it seemed like it opened up the floodgates. From there, at least something clicked for Palmer there. He looked much better after that goal.
Yeah, Palmer turned into a new leaf there. I probably butchered that saying, but typical Chelsea again when they concede right before half then to level things at 2. Set-piece defending, we'll work on that. It can only improve because it's been dreadful so far. The key, I think, though, was they did build some momentum there with the Palmer goal, and although they conceded, going into half, I think they were feeling a little bit better about things, and then Maresca makes a great decision, as much as it hurts my heart to say, taking off Misha, who was dreadful in the first half, didn't do a darn thing. Noni was great on the right wing, Misha on the left, just doesn't have it. So Maresca says, all right, I'm not happy with you. I'm bringing on Pedro Neto, the former Wolves player. And boy, what a decision that was for the entire team.
Yeah, I was interested to see if Neto was going to play against his former team. And I got to say, I mean, I mentioned this last episode. I like what I've seen from the guy so far. I think with the slump that Mudryk seems to be in, there might be some opening there at the left wing spot. And I would love to see Pedro, right? Is that his first name? Pedro Neto get some action there.
Yeah, they both have a ton of pace. We'll discuss the final goal later, but Neto knows how to use his pace, whereas Misha does not know how to use his pace. That's a huge difference in the type of player that you can become. It's all an IQ thing, a mental thing, a decision-making. Misha just doesn't have it right now, and I hope to God that he does get it. But TBD with that. I'm just glad that we do have another winger on the other side in Noni Madueke that decided to not only shit on the town of Wolverhampton, but also shit on the Wolves players, and he puts 3 goals away in 14 minutes, starting in the 48th minute. Just brilliant.
So electric, so special, and I think you can see it with Madueke. He knows how to use that pace, like you were saying, that Mudryk maybe doesn't. He at least has the confidence to, and you even see it with Neto, but they can really control things, and they're brave in how they take the ball to somebody. I guess brave and confident are the words that kind of I want to use to describe how Madueke was playing that match. And yeah, once he got started, he didn't look back.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Mamba mentality type day for Noni. He's got all these fans booing him, and he says, all right, I'm just going to put a hat trick on you. And all 3 goals were very similar, with Palmer giving him the assist, leading him into that open space on the right side there. Whether it was a combo of Enzo or somebody in the midfield winning the ball back, all three goals kind of started where they'd win the ball back in an advantageous spot, get it to Palmer, and then he knew exactly how to lay it off to Noni. And two of them were with the right foot. That's his off foot, and they were brilliant finishes. That's not easy, and that's an important piece as well. You mentioned confidence. Using the right foot like that, that's only going to build your confidence.
Yeah, I loved that Palmer Madueke link up, and I guess I don't know what you see going forward because there's a lot of options. Like Palmer's a versatile player in terms of where he can play, but I think that the way those two were linking up, there was just a great connection there, and Palmer had two of those assists, right, or something?
He had all three.
Oh, he had all three. Okay, so yeah. Man, I want to see that again going forward. I like Palmer in that kind of 10, like, attacking midfield role. I think it gives Enzo and just the rest of the midfield to, like, room to breathe and room to kind of do what they do better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Palmer right now is a top 3 English player, a top 5 for sure player in the Premier League. I mean, he's insane right now. He can play on that right wing. He can play more in the midfield. He can play as a false 9. He can play as a striker even if he wants to. And that's what's great. All these players have versatility on Chelsea in the attack. We haven't talked about Nkunku because he didn't start, maybe came on late, but he's still a guy that is versatile and can play in all these spots. That's what's awesome. You bring in a guy like Joao Felix late, he can also play anywhere, and he ends up scoring a brilliant goal. And this goal was maybe the best team goal in terms of how they built it. From the back, deep on that left side, KDH was involved, Neto was involved using his speed, as I mentioned. And that Portuguese connection from Neto to Felix, whoo, baby, that's going to be nice.
You kind of took the words right out of my mouth there. That last goal was my favorite. Just because, like you said, the way that the build-up happened and the connections that were there. I kind of have a sweet spot for Neto, as we discussed, but I think I have a sweet spot for Joao Felix at this point, too. The more I just think about the Chelsea squad and the players on this team, the more I think I want to see more of that guy.
When we got him on loan, I was very close to getting a jersey. I didn't at the time because he was just on loan, but there was something about him that just got me excited, and I don't know, something just draws me to him, the way he plays, the way he looks. Is something about it. I still feel that. I've been watching so many YouTube highlights of Felix. The way he plays is electrifying. It's so easy on the eyes to watch, and that's what I love about this Chelsea attack. They'll figure out some minor defensive and midfield problems, but the attack is so exciting right now.
Shit, I'll say it. It's my favorite attack to watch in the Premier League. So we got that going for us. I still am shaky about the defense, and I think the midfield has the pieces it needs to come together and provide link-ups and provide ball movement and progression to service that attack. But, man, the attack is something else.
The good news is the defenders and defensive midfield can only get better as time goes on. I think Colwill and Fofana provide the best center back pairing right now. Colwill, phenomenal match, the best passer on the team by far, and created a lot of chances, frankly, with his passing. But you can only build from there. Cucurella can only build. Gusto, you're still getting Reece James back at some point, which is going to be massive.
I was about to mention that too, yeah. I think Reece James coming back will help the squad quite a bit.
And Lavia has shown that he can be that kind of DCM spot, and he was out in this match. So I think things definitely are going to build for this Chelsea team. And let's maybe talk about a couple guys that we can highlight with some awards here. My Batman and Robin are Noni and Palmer. I mean, those two guys should get their own superhero movie at this point for that performance.
100%. What else can we say about Madueke and Palmer in that match?
Yeah, they're definitely electric. Can't wait to see them more. As we move on to the best defender, and who I thought was the fireball energy guy in the day. Colwill, I mentioned, most passes on the team that were successful, I think created the most chances with long passes. He was phenomenal. And Cucurella continues to be one of the best guys to have as a teammate, getting in multiple Wolves players' faces at times when Caicedo was getting clattered, and then Fofana had to run over and hold Cucurella back, which was hilarious to see.
Man, yeah, I didn't catch this whole match, like I said, so I don't know if I have the best answer for defender, but Colwell I think is good to go with for there. For fireball of the match though, I might want to give that one to Neto. The more I think about it, man, the more I like what I see out of him.
He certainly shoots out of a rocket, which is awesome. I hate to end on maybe a negative note, and maybe we'll think about where we want to put this going forward, but certainly the poor player on the day is Mudryk. Just don't know what we're doing with him at this point. I hope the best. There's still a lot of untapped potential there. It's just got to be shown with results, and that's all I can keep saying.
I'll second those thoughts. We kind of already talked about that, so I won't drag him down any farther.
Well, hopefully he might get a chance this week on Thursday to get some minutes, maybe show that he has something to provide going forward, or show that he's going to get dropped or sent out on loan, because Chelsea play in the second leg against Servette in this playoff qualification for the Europa Conference League. It is in Lancy, Switzerland, which is right outside of Geneva, Servette's home stadium. So Chelsea go into this leg up 2-0. I think it's going to be interesting because you want to hold on to that 2-0 lead. I also want to play some guys like Mudryk that I think need time. I don't know. I would probably start with a lineup that's a mixed bag of guys you trust, guys that you want to get minutes to. Vega's probably going to start. Maybe a Disasi, similar to last time against Servette. I would start Mudryk again just to give him that final chance before we ease into the rest of the Conference League and the Premier League. But you're going to have your guys at the ready to see if things go awry. If Servette scores right away, then it's a very interesting match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup Maresca goes with. Like you said, it'll most likely be a mixed bag in terms of players. I wonder if he'll go a little bit more defensive. I wonder if he'll maybe change up the formation a little bit. It seems to be relatively fluid as the match goes on anyways, but something to look forward to and look out for.
On a very selfish note, I would love to see Joao Felix get some more time. I just want to see the guy play football. I want to see his toes dancing out there with the ball. He's just so fun, so I hope he plays. But yeah, Chelsea need to take care of business, even though they're playing in a country that they haven't played in quite some time. It'll be cool, too, as well, for some away fans to get out to Switzerland.
Totally. And be sure to follow us out. Follow us for that one, because we'll be posting some reactions to it. YouTube Shorts, Twitter, most likely a short podcast reaction episode to that. So stay tuned. We're trying out some more things this season and just really trying to give you what you deserve as a fan.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned on YouTube and the podcast sites, because I'll have that recap most likely of the Servette match in a short form, as well as recapping the transfer window, which does close on the 30th, 5 p.m. Central Time for those of you listening in the Midwest. So I didn't want to comment really in this pod about any rumors, just because hopefully that'll all get cleared up by the end of the transfer window, and we'll see if Bayern adds some guys, if they let some guys go. Chelsea sound like they might add some guys. They certainly need to let about 10 guys go at this point. So we'll find all that out as the week goes on, and stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and something interesting I saw today, actually. So I won't go into this in detail because, like Jim said, we will kind of recap this more at the end of the week. But I guess the Saudi window is a day late. So all speculation, all rumors, but there's interest in one Kingsley Coman from Saudi Arabia. He most likely will leave Bayern if he gets interest from a Premier League club or maybe Barcelona. He could go there, but I guess he technically has an extra day to decide because the window is a day later in Saudi, so we'll see if that affects anything or not, but there's going to be, in my mind, some minor shakeups here when it comes to both Bayern and Chelsea in the next couple of days.
Sounds to me like the Saudis are kind of rigging something. Sounds a little suspect.
Oil money.
That's interesting. No, that's definitely something to note because Chelsea in years past as well have used the Saudis as kind of a last option for some players. I don't think that's going to be the case this year, but that is an important thing to note.
Well, hey, stay tuned. We keep saying that, but it's just so true. You got to stay tuned with us because things are kind of coming down to the wire here, and we might see a few here we goes.
Yeah, I want to mention something unrelated to the transfer window, and maybe I should have tweeted about this, but as I do have his jersey, Thiago Silva, we know he left Chelsea. His contract was up. He's now playing for Fluminense in the Brazilian Liga Primeira, whatever it's called, his boyhood club. I want to bring this up because Fluminense was in a relegation position when Silva arrived, had given up a goal in every single match in their season. Their season's, 2/3 of the way done at this point, I believe. Since he's arrived, he's captained the squad as a center back, performed incredible. They've won or drawn 6 straight matches. He's pulled them out of the relegation position into safety, and he's been amazing. So I had to point that out because I love the man. It's amazing to see at his age. I know it's a lesser league, but man, it's so incredible.
I have, oddly enough, I've seen every once in a while a tweet or maybe a clip or something, saying just that. Oh, I remember right when he came in, the whole, they let up a goal or two every match, and now all of a sudden they aren't. So that's good to see. I think Silva's a man that every football fan can love and respect.
Certainly, I wish I could model my game after him in these pickup games that we're playing in.
Incredibly special. That's really all I have. Do you have anything else you want to bring up here?
No, that's all I had. As you mentioned, stay tuned for some stuff coming this weekend, and looking forward to some exciting matches this weekend.
Hey, I am too, and I'm also looking forward to producing more short content on YouTube and, shall we say, TikTok.
There it is. I'm glad you brought it up because, we do have to mention TikTok. We are on TikTok now. You can search the podcast name, Always Bayern Chelsea, and you should be able to find it. It's going to be exciting to post some more different content there. It'll be similar to some YouTube shorts where we post recaps, but I might throw out some other content related to football. Might not even be Bayern Chelsea all the time, but trying to grow the audience as best we can, and I think it's a good outlet to do that.
Yeah, check it out. You'll see something special in terms of retro jerseys and unboxing videos too. So we kind of got it all over there, and we're dipping our toes into the water of this new media world and trying to figure it out and trying to find our way. So thanks for following along. Thanks for finding us everywhere you possibly can, and liking, subscribing, following, whatever other buttons there are. But most importantly, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Incredible on all levels.
All right, well, I will send us off with the ever classy Mia San Mia.
Up the Chelsea.